Blue and White Porcelain from the Charles Hosmer Morse Museum of American Art. What do you see in this picture? A cup for drinking? A beautiful blue and white painting of a house in the hills? A dragon hiding on the handle? I see a simple yet elegant blue and white cup whose history is steeped in sailors and pirates with journeys down rivers, over mountains and across treacherous oceans. The cup also inspired evolution in international trade, served as a status symbol in Europe and America in the late 19th century, as well as became influential in art trends around the world. During the Ming era from 1368 through 1644, Portuguese, Dutch, and English sailors discovered blue and white porcelain. By the late 1600s and early 1700s, China opened more ports and lowered taxes on international trade, making porcelain more accessible to foreign traders. However, it was the aesthetic movement, beginning in 1860, that turned the porcelain into an obsession. East Indiaman describes the sailing vessels dispatched by European traders through the East India Company. East Indiaman ships would sail from Europe around Africa and India on trade winds, and finally to the seas of South China, where pirates would wait to raid their ships. Once the ships safely arrived at the ports, the East India Company would trade raw goods like gold and silver bullion, copper, and tin for Chinese luxury goods like spices, textiles, tea, and, of course, porcelain. In this painting from the 1800s, we see ships in the Pearl River outside of Canton, China. Can you guess which are the East Indiaman ships and which are the Chinese boats? Look along the shoreline. Do you see the 13 factories where countries from around the world like Denmark, Spain, the United States, Britain, and the Netherlands would trade for the fancy goods of China? In August of 1747, the East Indiaman ship Geldermalsen left the Netherlands on its maiden voyage to China. Over 4 years later, on December 18th, 1751, the ship was headed home, loaded with 147 rare gold bars and 687,000 pounds of tea, packed around more than 150,000 pieces of blue and white porcelain. These pieces included 40,000 tea bowls and saucers, as well as gravy bowls, butter dishes, salt cellars, figurines, adult and children's chamber pots, spittoons, beer mugs, and complete dinner services for 18 to 144 people. Tragically, 16 days into their journey home, the Geldermalsen struck a reef, sinking into the South China Sea in the dark of night on January 3rd, 1752. Only 2 lifeboats, holding 32 of the 300-member crew, survived. Nearly 235 years later, the cargo finally made its way to the Netherlands. In 1984, Captain Michael Hatcher discovered the cargo. Nearly all of the porcelain was salvaged, due to it being preserved in the packed tea leaves. 125 of the 147 gold bars were recovered. These pieces were subsequently auctioned through Christie's auction house as part of the Nanking cargo. Here we see a teacup and saucer set in our collection from Christie's Nanking cargo auction, as well as the auction lot tag from the sale. Popularity of blue and white porcelain, also known as blue and white china, exploded in Europe. It became more valuable than gold or silver because artisans could not replicate porcelain's unique features. Homes during this time were filled with pottery of drab greens and browns and heavy pewter with wood-adorned tabletops. The introduction of the light and airy blues and whites of porcelain created a wonderful new tone in the home. Porcelain was heat-resistant, which made it perfect for tea time, and its beautiful blues did not fade. The porcelains painted intricate designs and images of faraway lands made the owner appear worldly and inspired conversation with houseguests. George du Maurier jumped on the humorous side of this Chinamania for the British magazine Punch by creating cartoons emphasizing the extreme measures Victorians would go through for their china. Look at this cartoon of a mother and her daughter Dorothy. Daughter Dorothy tells her mother, "Oh, Mother, I love you better than silver and better than gold." The mother responds, "And better than blue china, Dorothy?" Daughter Dorothy, after a very slight hesitation, says, "Yes, Mother, better than blue china." And the mother, much moved, replies, "Darling." Of course, blue and white china was not only used at the dinner table or during tea time. It was often put on display in the home for visitors to see. One of the most incredible displays for blue and white porcelain is Harmony in Blue and Gold, the Peacock Room. Architect Thomas Jekyll began this project in 1876, and it was completed in 1877 by artist James Abbott McNeill Whistler for British shipping magnate Frederick Leland's London mansion. Leland was swept away by the Chinamania, and Whistler's peacock blue walls were the perfect complement to showcase Leland's collection of nearly 170 pieces of china. We can see the beautiful arrangement, how it was originally displayed in 1877 in London, and today reinstalled at the Freer Gallery of Art in Washington, D.C. The art of displaying porcelain or china was not lost on Louis Comfort Tiffany. Can you point to all of the china displayed in Tiffany's homes? From the mantel in the dining room of his Bella apartment to the library and dining room of the family home in New York City on 72nd Street, Tiffany clearly enjoyed the beauty porcelain brought to an interior. Additionally, Tiffany embraced a blue and white color scheme for his dining room at his Long Island country estate, Laurelton Hall. Here we see lighting, fabrics, furniture, and rugs he designed, all featuring a beautiful blue and white color scheme. The rug is thought to be inspired by a Chinese dinner jacket Tiffany had in his collection. Can you find the birds hiding in the pattern on the central medallion of each of the rugs? Blue and white porcelain is distinctive with its uncomplicated color palette, created by stark white contrasted with varying degrees of blue. This porcelain is unmistakable in its balanced design. The porcelain often featured painted images of distant places that sometimes even told a story. Look at the dish on the left. Do you recognize its shape? What is it? That's right, it's a fan. Now look carefully at the painting. What do you see? Can you find the two people on the shore and the person in the boat? How many boats can you find? How many buildings? Where do you think the path leads to? What story would you tell based on this scene? Now, look at the plate on the right. While it doesn't tell a story, its design is very appealing to the eye. Do you notice any patterns around the rim? Pattern brings movement and rhythm to the design. Can you find any lines of symmetry? Symmetry provides predictability and balance. Where do you see the distinct contrast between the blue and white palette? The white space gives our eyes a chance to rest, while the blue creates energy. Which of these design elements will you use when you create your blue and white inspired vase? Today we are designing a unique blue and white paper artwork inspired by the porcelain pieces designed in China for hundreds of years. To complete this project, you'll need to gather the vase template from the Bold Blue and White's lesson plan on the museum's Create and Explore page, 9 by 12 inch white and blue pieces of paper, a pencil, scissors, and white glue or a glue stick. Press pause on the video now while you gather your supplies. Press play when you are ready to resume. Begin by folding the white paper in half lengthwise. I'm going to use the vase template, lining it up along the paper crease and tracing one half of the vase. If you'd like to design your own vase, draw half of the vase starting on the folded edge. Make sure as you draw the outline to cover as much of the blank space as possible. Now cut right along the trace line to form the vase. Do this in one continuous cut so the scrap remains in one piece. Then place the scrap in a safe place. We'll be using it later in the project. Now take the solid vase and fold it again in half so that now it is in quarters. This is where the fun design and patterning begins. Always cutting from the folded edges, you can cut short, rounded pieces or long, skinny slices, whatever interesting shape you can think of. Just make sure you never cut all the way across or into another pattern. Continue cutting interesting shapes until you're happy with the design. As you cut, continue to keep the tiny scrap pieces in a safe place to use later on in the project. Next, we start designing our vase form. Fold the blue paper in half lengthwise so that the line of symmetry is established. Go back to your safe place and find the largest scrap of paper made from cutting out the vase form. Open it flat. Make 2 little snips along the line of symmetry, discarding one of the pieces. Line up the white vase outline on the left side of the blue paper. Keep aware of the line of symmetry and glue it in place. Now repeat this process with the solid vase, opening it and cutting along the vertical line of symmetry. Line the solid vase form along the line of symmetry on the right side so that it forms the opposite side of the vase outline. Then glue it in place. Gather your cut pieces from your safe place and spread them out so you can clearly see them. Just like completing a puzzle, place the pieces inside the white vase form, filling all the empty spaces. You will have a few pieces left over. Any pieces that fall along the line of symmetry will have to be cut in half. Finally, flip them over the line of symmetry to form the mirror image on the empty blue space. When you are happy with your design, glue the pieces in place. And here we see the completed project with a defined line of symmetry and clear positive and negative spaces, making this truly a bold blue and white artwork. We look forward to your visit to the Morse Museum to see this beautiful vignette featuring the blue and white porcelain collected over the course of 40 years by lifelong Orlando residents Dr. Benjamin L. Abinger Jr. and Nancy Hardy Abinger.